All right, there we go. Since billboards are so ubiquitous that I don't notice them unless they irritate me. But this this morning, I looked up at this billboard going down the 5, and I don't know if this is an ad that was placed or if it's an ad for the billboard. It said, "You belong here." And I went, what a great message that is. And I thought,
On the billboard?
yeah. Well, and that's what I'm thinking. Oh, that was probably the billboard advertising saying, your ad belongs here. But I thought, great message that, especially, these current times when the message is you don't belong here. Anyway, that was mine.
Ice under it there.
Yes. So, case 12. And this is the only book in which this case appears. This is the book of Equanimity. So if you're looking for this book, it is also listed as Book of Serenity. So whatever word that is in Chinese, it can be translated as either equanimity or serenity.
That makes so much more sense.
Serenity?
Equanimity, I want to do geometry.
Well,
Leave that to the rest.
yeah, because I don't know. It depends on how you're defining serenity, I suppose. But it's about being in balance with reality just as it is, which is what equanimity is.
Okay.
But anyway, case 12. Jizo Plants the Field. Preface to the assembly. Scholars cultivate the pen. Orators cultivate speech. Zen students tire of seeing the white ox on the bare ground, and we don't even turn to look at the rootless, splendid herb. How do we pass our days? Main case. Attention. Priest Jizo asked Priest Shuzan, "Where did you come from?" Shuzan replied, "I came from the south." Jizo replied, "How is the Buddha Dharma down south these days?" Shuzan answered, "There's a lot of debate going on." Jizo said, "Here, it is better for me to plant the fields, make rice balls, and eat." Shuzan asked, "What about the three worlds?" Jizo replied, "What is it that you call the three worlds?" Appreciatory verse. Zen discussions, numerous, altogether artificial. Flowing between mouth and ear, they cause separation. Planting the field, making rice balls, an everyday affair. Unless replete with his inquiry, a person can't know it. Replete with his inquiry, he knows for sure there is nothing to seek. General Shiho, after all, didn't value awards of rank. Activity forgotten, having returned, he's like the fish and birds, washing his feet in the smoky sorrow waters of autumn. Okay, well, that verse is a little convoluted, but this should be called Shuzan's three strikes. It's 3 times he has an opportunity to express himself from the heart of Zen. It's like someone walked in this morning, who shall remain nameless, and said, "What's a Zen way of saying good morning?" reply was, "Good morning." So, whenever a Zen teacher asks you something,
Be careful.
be careful. Especially if it's a question.
Run away.
No. Running, can't run away from reality. But just be,
Just watch me try.
just what?
Just watch me try.
And certainly there are ways of thinking that you've run away from reality. But where did you come from? Trick question. Shuzan's answer, I came from the south. Strike one. He says, okay, let's give him one more chance. Let me make it a little more obvious. How is the Buddha Dharma down south these days? Shuzan answered, there's a lot of debate going on. Strike two. And Jesus was like, here, let me give him the answer for him. Here, it is better for me to plant the fields, make rice balls, and eat. Shuzan asked, what about the three worlds? Aye! Strike three. What is it you call the three worlds? So, the three worlds, by definition, are desire, form, and formlessness. And it's how we transmigrate through these three worlds every minute of every day. You got to Zen by way of these three worlds. The desire. I want to learn to meditate. I want peace and quiet. I want, something other than TikTok. So that gets you, to the cushion. And then you engage in the forms, the sitting, the postures, the bells ringing, the stupid dharma talks. And then you get to the place where you realize that it's all one, it's all meaningless, it's all empty. That's the formlessness. And Jizo's formlessness was, as he was trying his best to get across to Prince Shuzan, it's better for me to plant the fields, desire to eat, than make the rice balls, the form of creating food, and then eating. It then becomes one with me, formless, empty, and temporary. So the world of desire is the world of form, the world of formlessness. Those are the three worlds that we're constantly going through. There's no way out of those three worlds, but it is the goal, if you will, of Zen to recognize that these three worlds are not limited to some grandiose Zen discussion. There's nothing poetic about the three worlds. They are just what is. They are reality itself. And they are happening every minute of every day. So Shuzan is looking for this great big debate that he was used to in the South about all the forms of Zen, the three worlds and the eightfold path and the 10 precepts and this number of that and another number of something else. So he was looking for something other than what was right there in front of him. And what was right there in front of him was what was, chop wood, carry water, plant rice, make rice balls. Just take care of what is right there in front of you to do. And that's what works. But he was trying to come up with some contrived form of Zen. The first line of the appreciatory verse, Zen discussions, like we chant at the end, such beings are numberless. Zen discussions are numberless. They are altogether artificial. They're contrived. they're not reality itself. They're what point to reality, possibly, hopefully. But the reality itself is your direct experience of it. And that direct experience does not, the words are always after the fact, after the experience. So they're generally are hopefully an accurate report of the experience of that reality, but they're not the reality itself. It's late to the game. And this constant flowing between mouth and ear, this discussion that goes on between, then that's when it becomes this duality. It is this or it is not that. It is this something else. This is how we define it. This is the Mahayana. This is the Hinayana. This is the Buddhayana. All these bizarre, contrived definitions and separations that we come up with, in Zen, that have nothing to do with anything at all. The point is, how is your life? How is your life going? What are you doing to recognize that you are one with your life all the time, and there is nothing else other than this life, this moment, right here, right now. That's it. So, we have this inquiry. We want something else than what we have. That's what gets us here. That's what gets us to the cushion. That's what gets us to doing the work and the training. And you have to exhaust that. So there's some people exhaust it faster than others, but you still have to go through the same process. To study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. You can't skip the step of studying the self. If you don't study the self, you're not forgetting the self. It's the exhausting that self, these identifiers, this need for something other, this need for something, better than. Usually, I want something better than what the rest of the world has. I want something that I can point to, that I can sit in and say, "Oh, I'm spiritually accomplished." Check. I have the wisdom of the Tathagata. Check. And any moment now, I'm going to learn to levitate, and I'll be backlit. So, with this halo over my head, none of that is real. So, as long as you are trying to get to something somewhere other than here, you are contriving separation that is not real. The separation is not real. So where it is you are and where it is you belong, as the billboard told me this morning, is right here, right now. So there was a Zen message on the freeway.
No, you belong on the billboard.
Never mind what they really wanted. But I had to wonder if that was it. If that was an ad for the billboard, what an interesting and inclusive way to word that message.
I assure you that the person that wrote that
Had no intention.
no idea of any of that.
I know.
But what if they did? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Not necessarily, because I've worked in advertising for years, and there's all kinds of ways you can slip in messages and people just didn't realize.
Yeah.
All right, maybe so. What do I know? I don't know.
I mean, a lot of people who work in advertisement are writers. Like, are people who want to write that, it's just that's not how you make money.
Yeah. Well, and here's what I want to believe about this. So I'm making this up, I'm contriving this, that this person is seeing the world we're in right now and wanted to send a message subliminally that despite ice, you belong here.
Does it matter what
We should find out. We should find out how much it costs to rent that billboard. We should put that message up on the billboard.
Go ahead, you belong in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna rent it and put my picture up there.
Now, it doesn't matter what the intention was.
They keep looking at it.
The message was there out of universal co-arising.
There it is. There it is. The message was specifically there for me to read at whatever time I was driving 80 miles an hour past that billboard. Long enough, because it was one of those billboards that changes. It wasn't a... So I saw it just looked up at that billboard and saw that message just before it changed to whatever the next advertisement was, which I missed.
A lesson in impermanence.
So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, impermanence. There it is.
And the message is no longer there, and you no longer belong there.
Somewhere else now.
Well,
But it's
and
now inside, like Buddha nature.
and we have to remember that this here is not a fixed place. I loved Shishin's characteristics of trying to nail Jello to the wall, because that's when if you try to make reality permanent or into a thing or into a concept, or contrive it into some dialogue, it is like trying to nail Jello to the wall, because reality's moved on. It is not fixed. It is not static. It is constantly flowing, constantly changing, and that's what we are. Is in this constant flow and constant change, and not separate from that. Yeah.
So on the actual specific thing we started with, the dharma talk, one of the things I'm struggling with is I wind up going to explanation as a way of distancing myself from experience.
Mm-hmm. That makes you normal.
Yes. It also means that every time I give a talk at Toastmasters, the feedback I get from Kate is, you need to put yourself in that example, don't explain.
Yeah.
And she's always right.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's
I heard that.
the heart of reality, is that it happens before words. So the words are an explanation of reality, not reality itself, but people want to know what that felt like, what that experience was, rather than a definition of it. So that's where the relationships are in reality, and not in the explanation that took place afterward. So and also understanding that we are a languaged species, and we're discovering. And I've always said this. I remember probably 20 plus years ago, a Zen teacher said something about animals not being able to talk, and I interrupted her. I said, well, we don't know that. We don't know whether or not animals are able to talk or communicate with each other. We don't understand what they're saying, but it's possible that they're talking. And now, 20 years later, they're discovering that, is it the whales, that they have names. And the sounds are indicating. So I think that we're discovering that for probably longer than humans have been alive, animals have long been communicating with each other. And I suspect that everything communicates with itself. Like we are all one in that, and that we didn't just magically learn to talk. We learned to talk because everything communicates, and we just figured out our code for communicating with each other. And other animals have always had that. So
wondering if the trees communicate with the trees as well.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole
So
crazy thing.
and we're now getting to the point where now we recognize it and we measure it. Now the next step is going to be being able to understand it, and maybe interspecies communication is possible at some point.
And maybe they're arguing about Zen.
Maybe.
And cats, when they meow, they learn to meow for humans.
Mhm.
They only meow to humans. And one
Well,
they-
the male tomcats meow to female cats, and it's very distinctive.
Well,
That's cattle and they howl.
yeah, that's a different. But when they're meowing, they usually meow to humans.
Yeah, they meow at us because we talk to them.
Yeah, when they want.
Yeah. And they're talking back.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
communication.
it's
Yeah, it
communication.
is communication.
Yeah, and different meows mean different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
There's a world of difference between meow and
Yeah, and my cat and I completely understand each other.
Yeah,
Me too.
So,
so I keep feeding it.
yes. So yes, simple koan with a very deep message, because we can't, we often forget this. We get very easily lost in explanations, and this didactic crossfire that goes on between us all the time is contrived, not real. The direct experience that we have with every single moment, as it is constantly in this flow, is the only thing that's real. Not that the speech isn't beautiful, not that the speech isn't useful or instructive, but it should not be mistaken for that direct experience. And this practice is about really getting to that direct experience. And I think it explains why Zen attracts the demographic that it does. It tends to attract, very intelligent, glib, well-studied.
Wow.
You look that good looking.
I know, good-looking, and good-looking people. So,
Look at us.
because I think that those of us who've engaged in this intellectual process for as long as we've had through all the studies and however many years of school, realize that it's not quite it. It's not quite reality. Where is that? Even though I've spent however many thousands of dollars on, the education that I have, why is it not satisfying? Because it's not real. Simple. So really, I said this, I think I've quoted Rumi several times in one of his poems. He says, "Break the glass, fall back to the glass blower's breath." So really letting go of that final form that we think we have, and falling back to that creative process, that direct experience of the breath, is where we find that direct experience of reality. And certainly, we miss it a lot. How many times have we been asked a question and we gave the standard answer? Hello, how are you? Good. So,
That's not what I think.
yeah. And what have we missed in that exchange if we're not really, what is our experience in that particular moment of that standard exchange? Certainly a standard question, where did you come from? And these days it's being asked in not so polite ways, because they want to send you back to where you came from. So, and I came from the South. True statement, fair statement, nothing wrong with that exchange. And sometimes that is the appropriate answer under certain circumstances. So, read the room. Who is it that's asking the question? And if you're standing in front of an accomplished Zen priest, I would beware. Because the priest is testing you, trying to see where you are. Where did you come from? Is the only way to answer that is standing right in front of you. From the South is where you were, certainly not where you are now, and certainly not where you are emanating from in this moment. How is the Buddha Dharma down south? A little icy these days, I think.
So, we're going to get to case 20. Same question gets asked.
Mhm.
So, Master Jizo asked Hogan, where have you come from? I pilgrimage aimlessly, replied Hogan.
Mhm. Yeah, this question, I think there are some 20 odd koans that have this question.
Yeah.
And each time the answer is different. So it's like, why did Bodhidharma come from the West? That question
Yeah,
is.
like he's responsible.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I would have said, oh.
There is another meaning to this question, is what richness do you bring to the Sangha? What's your name? Marcella. And I just met, and she said, is this your first Zen place? Where did you come from before this? And we ask each other to see what is on the menu, what we bring with us. The Bodhidharma is the same. The debate is different, which means perspectives. What reality you found, where you found it, how did you get there? What can you teach me? So there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that question is also asked by the fifth ancestor to the sixth. The sixth ancestor, the most important ancestor in Buddha in Buddhist history, answers the question that he came from Rhinen, which is the old word, the old name for Vietnam, what is the area that is now Vietnam. And the fifth ancestor says to him, the barbarians from Rhinen do not have Buddha Dharma. How is it you expect to become a Buddha? And sixth ancestor's response is, although there are men of the south and men of the north, the Buddha Dharma is the same everywhere. So, good answer to both the way that question is asked, in answering it both ways. Yes, I am from. It's like, can any good come out of Nazareth? For biblical reference, because it's an interesting, people judge where you're from. So and certainly the Vietnamese were not considered to be Chinese. And anything that wasn't Chinese, and in those days, anything that wasn't Southern Chinese was considered barbarian. They were called the barbarians. So an interesting, that, and when he was transmitted, the fifth ancestor transmitted the Dharma to the sixth ancestor. The fifth ancestor knew that he was going to be in deep trouble, because it's not possible that a barbarian should get transmission. And I've heard that even in recent times. The first time I went to Japan, I was on the bus with other people some of the people on the tour bus with us were Japanese, and we were all Zen practitioners. And this man turned to me and in his broken English said, I understand that Americans don't understand Zen. And I said, well, all I said was, I'm sure we don't understand Japanese Zen. So that's and that argument has come up, because there is this built-in prejudice with people that my culture has got it and other cultures do not. My culture has this and you may have that, but it's less than this. This othering is pervasive, and it is often used by Zen teachers as a point of teaching. So, do you other yourself when you are speaking? Do you other others when you are speaking? And in this case, he others the South. How is the Bodhidharma down south these days? There's a lot of debate going on. As if there's not a lot of debate going on everywhere. but only in the South. And what is this debating? What does that have to do with reality itself? All of these contrived conversations are not about Zen. They may be discovering some dogma, some form, some way of doing things. Which particular school? Because there are several schools of Zen, most of which have died out these days. What comes down to us is primarily Vipassana, Soto, and Rinzai. There's three main schools. The Theravadan school is still there, but it went south. It went east instead of west. So it's slowly dying out. What does that have to do with reality? Where are we right here, right now? And how is it that we separate? Even in our everyday conversation, in our everyday actions. And that's the question. That's why we come back to the sitting, to this desire to not separate, to the form of the sitting which is not separating, to get to that point again and again and again of this formlessness, this undifferentiated everythingness of emptiness, where we are not separate from each other, from ourselves, from anything that's going on in the world. And the world oftentimes is very difficult to be present in. And can this practice be used as a way of distracting ourselves from the present? Certainly. You can sit there and count your breaths and not listen to the news and not be aware of what's going on in the world. But if the impact is still there, we still have to take care of what is presenting itself as reality in front of us all the time. So, a very clear reminder that we transmigrate the three worlds constantly, every minute of every day.
Those three worlds again? What are they again?
Desire, form, and formlessness. And certainly I woke up this morning desiring coffee. And I went to my kitchen and made my coffee. And then I drank my coffee.
Somebody said, suffering, ignorance, and no self. Is that desire, form, and formless?
Yeah, because usually people, you want suffering to end, the desire for suffering to end.
They were there about that, so they had like
Yeah.
desire for the self. Huh?
Give it the south.
I think they went there. I sit because I'm trying to cure myself of this addiction to crack that is my thinking. It's really bad. But lately, I've been reading about time and eternity. In all of eternity, I'm here, right now, in this moment. I was given this blessing to make something, to celebrate all of eternity, right now. But I don't have all that cool Zen talk that allows me to dodge so many. I'm still working on it. I'll come back to my pillow and try and get rid of the crack.
And you're trying to get to the cool Zen talk?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have nothing to say up to the Zen Center. They're all so cool and everybody's got the answer. And
Yeah, no. No. Yeah, if there's cool Zen talk going on, they got nothing.
But I have something better. I have this all of eternity gave me this moment,
Yeah.
which is pretty huge.
It is huge because all of eternity is contained in this moment.
I kind of get that.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I'm going to know about eternity, here it is.
Yeah.
I have a question here. You said that you want to end this crack of the he supposed to notice it, non-invited entity, and let it continue to exist? Why?
Yeah, I mean, I started writing down, okay, what is it that it's telling me to do? Maybe I can get to the end of that list. So I just got a whole brand new list,
Yeah.
last night.
Keep going.
Well, by virtue of the fact that you use crack as a metaphor, I hope.
I've never used crack.
Okay.
Maybe something
Yeah.
else.
I mean, I guess that you're referring to thinking as an addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, and it is very addictive. I mean,
I really want to answer a question as posed, which is that I think the addiction of thinking is not having the thinking. It is the inviting entity.
Yeah. Because thoughts come up and we identify as thought. That's the addiction. And
So something that has helped me make peace with my thoughts,
Mhm.
my favorite lately, is someone has said a metaphor that as pancreas secretes
Yes.
insulin,
Mhm.
the brain, that neural structure,
Secretes thoughts.
thoughts. So it is native and natural to the functioning of the brain. So at that point, what's beside that? What encompasses that? What's bigger than that? Bigger than both of them, the pancreas and the brain.
To me, it's living life well,
But that's not I don't want an answer.
Oh.
I'm not asking you.
It sounded like a question to me.
No,
It was a trap.
No, there is, but, no, it's just a state that
Yeah.
it's bigger than all these other things that are so
Yeah,
crack-like.
yeah. I mean,
Crack-like.
non-attachment seems to be a nice direction to it.
And then for me, the minute I give something a name, it's lost. I'm not there. I'm in the name. I'm back in the thought. Immediately.
Yeah.
So that's not where it's at.
It's not where it's at, but you can't provide directions without naming the places. You'll never get there without the names. Once you get there, the names become unimportant.
But there is no getting there. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah. Well, okay, and all of what you're saying is true, because we think we want to get somewhere. We think that Zen is going to get us something, that there's something to be gotten here, which is why we come to this place called Long Beach Zen Meditation Group.
We sit in traffic,
we sit in
get
traffic.
up early on a Saturday, we're getting somewhere.
We're doing something to better ourselves. There's that label that comes with spiritual practice of any kind. Doesn't matter what you call it. And then you get here, and the cushions are laid out in a particular format. The altar is set up in a particular way. Those are the forms that we engage with. The bells ring, we chant. The bells ring, we sit and count our breaths. The bell rings, and we walk. The bell rings, and we sit down again. So those are all the forms, and it takes time. With some people a little longer than others, to realize there's nothing here. There's nothing to get, nothing to obtain, because it was there all the time. You had it already. But it takes time to get to that realization that Oz never did give nothing to the Tin Man that he didn't already have, for those of you old enough to remember the Group America.
But if he didn't take the journey, he wouldn't have found it.
Right. He had to.
Even though I was there all along.
He had to get down the yellow brick road with Dorothy and the Scarecrow and the Cowardly Lion to realize, to be told by the almighty Oz that he already had it. What did the Tin Man want? A heart? He wanted a heart.
So, I would
Yeah.
like to add one thing, and this is just my personal experience. You don't have to share it or not share it or whatever. One of the reasons I come here is because there's other people here. I come here. I mean, I might not seem like a really friendly, lovely person, but when I sit with other people, I experience a different quality that turns me on.
Yeah. So Sangha, which the origin of the word Sangha is forest. And trees growing together, they tend to grow together, are stronger than a tree by itself. Their protection from being buffeted by the various winds of TikTok, Instagram and Facebook. There's support here because we're all sitting here in silence, breathing. And if someone were to walk in accidentally, looking for a party, this would look very strange to them. But to us, we understand what that is. So this form works for that, for the purposes that is intended. And the schools that gave up the forms, because the schools that got stuck in that final formlessness, because you need all three. You need all three of those worlds going all the time in order to remain engaged. But people have gotten stuck in emptiness. They get stuck in formlessness. They get rid of all the forms and say it's all meaningless. Every single one of those schools have died out. We need this form. We need something to strive for, something to get us up in the morning, to get to some place, wherever that is, to accomplish something, whatever that is, to come to understand that there is no place and there is nothing to accomplish.
So what I just heard you say is that the schools that focused on formlessness achieved it.
Yeah, they're not there.
This is brilliant.
I think it's even more primal than that, I think we're primates and we're social entities, and being social is important to us.
It is.
So, thank you, everybody.
This is our form, yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
So,
The Catholic Church
my
is
last-
still
I
around.
was thinking in terms of David's point. We like to, those of us that consider ourselves intellectual, and certainly in law practice, we have to think all the time. And deep thinking is very useful there. But in this practice, I don't, I find that we can't think our way out, take our way out of this. So all the things that we like to do. But the question that I remember reading from Joe Beck was, putting thinking aside, where do I stand with regards to this thing, this problem, this issue, whatever it is? That requires a different kind of inward journey, where we really kind of have to deal with where we are, where we stand with regards to that thing. We can't think our way out of it. It's like, honestly, stripped away of all pretense and thought, where do I stand with regards to that thing?
Yeah.
I think
And then we work from there.
Yeah, you really gotta, at some point in your life, you really gotta look within, really look deeply within, in a certain sense, to see who you are, what you want to do,
Yeah.
what part of society you contribute to, and that type of thing. But if you don't look within, you can get a little bit off track.
Yeah. Yeah. And oftentimes there's a lot of things that are in the way. And that's really what the work of Zazen is, peeling that onion, deconstructing all of those beliefs we have about ourselves and the world and reality to get to that direct experience. And I think that the question that Jizo is asking Shuzan is that question: where do you stand? that's what the question of where do you come from? Where are you emanating from? How are you showing up in the world? That's the question. How do you show up? So, and today you've shown up here, doing this.
But I think the value of this, is not that we're finding, something or getting somewhere, but that we're letting go. We learn how to let go more and more and more and more of the things that prevent us from seeing a billboard and saying, yeah, I belong there. I belong here.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, do you think so?
I do.
Yeah.
That's
Question? Anything, Kirk? No? Okay.
Thank you, Kirk. Thank you, Kirk.
He looks good
Yes.
out there,
Yeah. Being here both physically and virtually, appreciate that.
I've never met Kirk. Who's Kirk? He's right there.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I know.
Well, Kirk used to sit with us quite regularly, and then he moved to Morro Bay. So he has continued to sit with us from Morro Bay.
Where's that?
Up
Is it down south?
No, north coast,
North of San Luis.
near Carmel.
Ah.
Nice up there.
We're about 100 miles north of Santa Barbara.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's pretty close.
How's the blue
Yeah.
dharma in the north?
That's fine.
Great. All right. Any questions, comments before we close?
This was amazing. This was the three worlds the whole way.
I am actually sort of fixated on your trip to Japan and the person who said that I understand that Americans don't understand Zen.
Yeah.
I kept on thinking, what could you have said? And I had forever to think about it, probably something like the belief that we understand is in the way of experience.
I was thinking that my Zumi Roshi comment, it might be so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
I like it.
And I think that wherever Zen has traveled, it has become that culture, because you can't separate Zen from all the religions of India, because the Siddhartha Gautama studied all of them, and he brought all of that to bear. And then it comes to China, and it's impossible to separate Taoism and Confucianism from Zen today. And then you come to Japan, and all of the indigenous cultures were co-opted by Buddha, Shintoism, and the various others. Now it's in the West, Europe and the Americas, and it will become that culture's Zen, and because it is not frozen, it is not a static, belief system. And Zen is really the antithesis of a belief system, as you sit and deconstruct all of those beliefs that you think are
It's a no belief system.
yeah, it's a no belief system, and that's what makes it constantly new and constantly flowing and constantly present with what it is and where it is and how it is. You manifesting as you are, with all of your history and all of where you came from, manifest right here, right now, as Zen. That is the only way it shows up, is you. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to put an end to them. The dharmas are boundless. I vow to master them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to attain it. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to put an end to them. The dharmas are boundless. I vow to master them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to attain it. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to put an end to them. The dharmas are boundless. I vow to master them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to attain it. Okay, a few announcements. Sure, there will be a Dharma talk tomorrow from Yokoji. I won't be there. We've got the first tea of the year, the first tea business meeting. The Los Angeles Tonkokai is meeting tomorrow, so I'm caught up in that madness. The never-ending details of Chado. The new, those of you who receive the journal, Yokoji's journal, there's very interesting articles in there. I only read it because two of the articles I wrote, but I didn't read mine because I wrote it. But it's nice to look at some of the other articles. But take a look at that. It's a nice publication. I guess I should read it more often, because I get it. I have a collection of them on my shelf, but I rarely sit down and read them. I think that's it. Any other announcements?
Yeah, can I just make an announcement about donations? It's much easier for me to get online donations because I don't really have to do any work. I don't have to go to the bank. But for those who prefer cash donations, if you don't want a year-end receipt, you don't have to do anything, just put your money in there. If you want a year-end receipt, you will find slips like this. And so when you put your money in there, just mark down how much you put and put your name, and that way I'll be able to credit you.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah, we are affiliated with a nonprofit, so it is tax deductible. Donations. So, all right, anything else? All right, thank you, everybody. It's a beautiful day. It's a moment of summer. Thanks for helping clean up, and see you next week. Thanks, Kirk. See ya.